Hey everybody and welcome to Bandite's Let's Sculpt January day 27. I have to close some other windows here. There we go. How is everybody doing? Welcome to the stream. I am your host Cedric, and let's just jump right into it. Oh man. Okay, so satisfied. What do we do? Could go for another full body sculpt and be disappointed by the end result. Or, ooh, just checking some, found some cool like drawings on Pinterest. I'm currently scrolling through that have a lot of 3D definition. I might just find something in there that might be satisfied. How's everybody doing? How are you doing? I'm today joined again by my co-host Julie. So it's Let's Sculpt with guest. Satisfied. What can we do with satisfied? Woo. I want to make an expression piece. So let's go just for the satisfied expression on a random character. I'm sitting low. How am I sitting so low? There we go. I think there was a good reason for that, but I don't know which one. What was it? Okay, let's do this. Let's go to the front. I finally made a stable start file. You know, almost at the end of the challenge. Just gonna go in here, bring in some shapes. Ignore the building noises in the background if you can. Sorry for that. Yeah, they're building a roof across my house, so. Kind of want just to be a little bit. We're gonna shove some things back and forward, you know. I'm gonna smooth this out by a lot because I'm gonna remesh it really quick. This looks like garbage. What am I doing? The jaw. This eye a little bit lower. Some ears. Those are terrible ears. A little bit better. Just trying to get a feel for the shape of everything. Oh man, I'm really sorry. Hey, Metal Sol Picadura. Hey, how are you, Domingo? I'm good. I'm very good. How are you? Yeah, no. Had a bit of a busier day than usual.
What are you gonna make?
A satisfied expression.
I already thought you were gonna do that.
What?
I kinda figured it that you were gonna make something like that.
Why? Because I told you I was gonna do something around satisfied?
No, because I said it like, oh, maybe you should create something that has like a smirky, satisfied look.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad you listened.
Did I though? There we go. Okay, I'm already gonna Satisfied expression. I'm just gonna look up some reference. Did you point that camera at me?
I'm maintaining your socials.
That's true. Not that there's anything to maintain. I'm alone in this world, devoid of any emotion. Sorry, I'm just trying to spice it up. Oh man. Let's see here. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I'll make a mail today. We'll see where we get. I'm just gonna start to overdo some of these shapes. Flatten them out. Can already think a little bit about the expression here. Everything already kind of in the right place. Shoulders a little bit higher up. Yeah, I'll just give them a little bit bigger ears, so a little bit more stylized. Well, a little bit cartoonier rather. Sure, something like this. Just trying to keep my distance and kind of figure out a nice silhouette. It should be rounded a little bit. So it seems like I'm. There we go. Now I can bring them a little bit lower here. I kind of want to think about the expression a little bit. Woo! What did I do? Okay. Try it again. Satisfied. Bring in like basic shoulders. Don't have to make them too bulky. Doesn't really add anything to the character. And add these things, whatever they're called. Don't want to make too cliche of a character, so I might like the round shape of the ears I kind of like, so I'm bringing that shape into more prospects of his face. So really working with round shapes here. It's gonna kind of help. It's kind of a rectangular face. We might fix that a little bit. And we can give him a smaller forehead. After SculptJanuary, how often are you gonna upload videos? That really depends on my state after SculptJanuary. Now, there's a plan to actually do 3 videos a week, 2 or 3 videos. And it's kind of gonna depend on how successful some of those videos will be, how many ideas I have. I don't want to constrict myself to a schedule if I don't have any interesting to say or do. Because because I'd rather make 1 video a week with a interesting subject than making 10 with just clickbaity stuff. But I have some cool ideas to do with the channel. I'm still checking some options, but yeah, if they kind of work out, then you have a lot of content to look forward to. Right, and everybody's happy. But also like the Patreon, like if the more Patreon support we get, the more content I can make. Easy as that. Hey Vikas, how you doing? We're gonna put in some more detail, because now we can start really defining this this fella. I'm just gonna smooth everything out a little bit. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put in the eyes. I'm gonna give him smaller eyes. There we go. Something like that, yeah. Put him right there in the skull. Only a little bit bigger, bigger. There we go. But yeah, the safest way for you to ensure that you get enough Bandite content is to support Bandite on on patreon.com/Bandite, or you know, just share the videos. Like it's like I would want to make like everyday videos for you guys, or every day be busy like making content for you guys, because I really love doing this. But yeah, the fact is I kind of have to also feed myself, and like the size of my YouTube channel doesn't really allow me at the moment to do this super full time. So I'm really sorry about the noise, but nothing to be done about that. No. Okay, I'm already gonna move the eyes a little bit. So I do want to think of the expression. Let's see here. Hello from India. Hey Bhargav, how you doing? If I can pronounce it correctly. Probably not. Knowing my track record. Kind of make something very cartoony here. Raise the eyebrows here. Raise those cheeks. Now we could like potentially really have this over the top expression going on. Just gonna bring in some lines here, see how that works. Fix the curve a little bit here. So I kind of want to blow this up more. This looks a little bit too old. Okay, chubby cheeks. Remesh it real quick. I'm fine, you're doing great, good luck. Thanks. Thanks, man. Might be an exercise in rounder shapes and the smoothness of them. Gonna bring them up till the seam. Might want to make the cheeks a little chubbier. Don't want to make him look like a clown though. Also, you want to complain about sculpting noses again for like half an hour, obviously. It's a pretty good base. It looks a bit weird around the eyes. Gonna be honest. I guess because there's a little bit too fat. Oh, I still want this to be in here, but there we go. And then we can kind of, no, not edit much. Okay, I'm trying to look at some reference for shapes in the face. Get this a little bit more correct. I'm already gonna find the eyebrows a little bit better. Make them round. The rest of the character. I'm gonna go use a flattened brush here and there just to get these shapes a little bit more consistent. You okay? We have a door, the door to our bathroom. In winter, because it gets cold, I guess the door kind of becomes bigger, and like in summer you can just open and close the door, but in winter you kind of have to push and pull it. And I guess she didn't want to make a lot of noise, so she slowly like bumped the door open. Kind of looked like a horror movie for a second. Trying to find the neck a little bit better. Visualizing some of the muscles here. I can kind of smooth them out again because I think like what we kind of need is a little bit of a less long character. At least they're having fun out there. For November, SculptJan for January, Inktober for October. Anything else for other months? Oh, looks like Jeff Bezos. I don't know. How does Jeff Bezos look like?
Where is the heel?
It kind of does. What?
Is the heel?
This? Oh, it's an error from YouTube saying there's not enough video for streaming efficiently, but never had any problems. It's my computer is not fast enough to do all this high poly sculpting and streaming at the same time. There's definitely be more of a practice in flatter, rounder shapes. It's easy to make like flat shapes and make sure that they aren't that they keep flat and you have flat surfaces, but definitely be a more challenge to have a more Pixar-y approach. The only thing I wanna kinda avoid here. A little more out there. There we go. Forcing some shapes in here. I want to give him like fake lips, but I definitely want a bit like realism in here, right? I think I need more detail though. I'm gonna up this up to 0.006. CEO of Amazon, yeah. Wealthiest man on earth, I guess. But for how long? Soon I will be the richest man once I have accumulated $1 million. Sorry. What am I doing here? Years of academy training wasted. I'll keep this as is for now. I'll worry about the ear later. Okay, let's get a little bit more of a detail in here. I already remeshed this. Da, 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 da. There we go. Don't want to make him look overly obese or something. A little bit muscular, right? Oops. Just flat brush. There we go. I'll definitely be happy when SculptJanuary is over, because I kind of want to work on some bigger projects. Because although some of the sculpts are pretty nice, they kind of lack a little bit of finesse, in my opinion. I do want to make some stuff that is like, and of course do that together with you guys. What we'll do here, let's use the mask tool once again. I never appreciated the mask tool until the SculptJanuary enough. Just gonna do things like this. Might be relaxing for some, very stressing for others. Like the silence. It's almost like an ASMR video, like hearing the Okay, I'm gonna turn off symmetry. 'Cause I really want to overdo this expression and I don't want to have to do it after I detail too much. So the only thing I want to do in mirror is kind of finish the ear up somewhat. So some harder edges in here. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Oh, you okay? No. Come on. There we go. Why did this get so small suddenly? Uh-oh. What? Okay. What? What? Why did this happen? Okay. Cool. Guess we'll have to live with that for now. Super bother me, but would like to know why this happened. Help. Hey Powell, how you doing? Quick chat, figure out how to fix this. Okay. Turn the X mirror off. Let's start bringing in starting details. I'm just gonna start to clay over this. First in a messy way. There we go. Bring the jaw over here a little bit. This will be a nicer, rounder shape. Just gonna flatten this. Something like this. And I kind of want that shape to follow. Let's go a little bit higher here, right? I like how he starts to look. inflate this a little bit more. And that. Not too much. There's a little bit more of an outgoing shape here. Like I can accentuate it for a second. There we go. Oops, another one here. Enough to see here, folks. Okay, there we go. Oh, Paul, what did you say? You used foul language? I think I can guess what you tried to say there. Angry. You just say angry. I don't believe that. Was it foul though? I don't know. I should maybe, I'm just gonna force something really quick and try now. Let me just push this in a little bit. So this shape becomes a little bit more prominent here. There we go. What are those people doing? You can't see my mess? No, I can't. My question was, do you know it's possible to assign new keys to brushes? Does mean that clay strip doesn't have any... Okay, I almost read it completely. Maybe it's because you said strip. Try not to use the word strip. God, if that is it, then... I have to kind of remesh things. Though I do kind of not want to. So offensive, yeah. I guess I understand why it's in there. I guess like if you're a female streamster, you don't want people to say, "Oh, strip, strip, strip." But yeah, there should be a setting somewhere. Like I'm an artist. Most things that seem foul aren't. Yeah, try. Was you deleted strip? Then maybe it was another word. I couldn't see it quickly enough. Hey there, K-Lox. Well, K-Lox. How you doing? Oh man, again. Yeah, what word did you use? Yeah, it was strips. Should probably turn off those filters. Let me put in some specific words. Oh, strips is fine apparently. Yeah. Oh, it's weird. Sorry. Because that was Streamlabs that deleted. Yeah, so that was OBS. Not sure why. Because I think like I put in a custom file word filter in there, but then apparently it's not working correctly. They're having a blast across the street. They just all got fired and starting to break all the stuff down out of frustration. I don't know. Not sure how to make this a lot more detailed though. Could I add some hair? Definitely some polish needed here and there, but for the rest, I don't know. I come to the point where, like, if I add too much detail now, then I have to add that detail everywhere, and that will be like. Let's see here. Let's put my crease to sharp. Strengthen a little bit up. See if I can put in some. Doesn't make sense. Here it makes sense a little bit. I'm not detailed enough, I guess. But I don't want to. Yeah, if I remesh now, I'll. This detail will be gone. Oh well. Sacrifice must be made. Remeshed. 0.003. Let's do this. Clay strips is one that annoys me. Yeah, there's a new one, right? So it's not yet on the alpha, I think, from 83, but oh yeah, now the stream is buffering. Cool. Yeah, sorry if it's a little bit lagging behind. It's because Blender is loading. Oh, there we go. That's nice. That's very cool. 0.003 is too low. Applause for me realizing that. Applaud me. Story time. What story? Oh, there we go. It's only 4 million polys, right? Yeah, see, now we kind of have to redo this seam here. There we go. Should be back online, by the way. Just clay strip brush here a little bit. I don't get why this has this weird shape. Oh, oh, no, no, no. What did I do? Oh. Delete annotation. Come on. What's happening? Oh, okay. Why is everything lagging suddenly? That's very cool. Oh, come on, yeah. Yeah, I was annoyed by nose. Let's fix that. Next character will be a character with a nose. I swear. I don't know what to do with this. A message on ArtStation. A lot of notifications from ArtStation the last couple of days. Probably because of me suddenly uploading all of the sculpts. It's been nice. Seeing people in the community appreciate what I do. I love ArtStation. I talked about DeviantArt like one of these days, and I think I didn't finish that thought. Anyway, let's talk about DeviantArt some more. Now, I went back to DeviantArt because they kind of revamped the website, and I was like curious. And I used to be on DeviantArt like back in the day where it was like an art website. But damn, that is still like just the homepage. I just browse the homepage and it's like not even logged in, right? So it's like Mario and Luigi as furries kissing. And it's like, why did the world need this? And everybody has their... But I kind of feel like that artists get commissioned to do this kind of stuff more out of for the meme than for like people actually wanting to have that in their lives. But I don't want to king shame. You do you. You do you, internet. I'll put it a little bit higher. There you go. And I want to kind of flatten this out again. I'll smoothen this out. Yeah, something like that. Oh, that's too much. That was too much. That was also too much. There we go. I'll put the strength back down. Fall off and smooth again. And can start adding some detail here. So I kind of don't like that. Yeah, I don't get DeviantArt. Like they try to change, but their community. I kind of feel bad for artists who really try to make it on DeviantArt because they get drowned out by like such a community. And like the sad thing is that I also see on Pinterest. Pinterest is more selective, so it's not like a lot of people like one thing that you kind of also have to like that thing, but I already see it, like if I'm looking for character art or like concept art, like it pops up, like, and I'm not even bothered by fan art of like weird fan art, or you know, it challenges our culture, so that's fine. But like the weird sexual stuff is really again, I don't want to king shame, and there's people who are into weird stuff, and it's fine. It's fine. Everybody can do what they want. But why on a public art website? I don't know. It's like somebody told me like if I would start making furries, like sexy furries in 3D, that I would make a ton of money. And I was like, yeah, but I would also like fall into a slow depression. I'm not even joking. That would not be gratifying work. But yeah. I've definitely heard stories from artists I know that had Patreon and all that good stuff, that they as well were sometimes commissioned to do kind of also like borderline very weird stuff. Like this was like private commissions, and of course the drawings you can do what you want, and kind of borderline like if you would know that those people commissioned that, you would like probably not that fast befriend them more, be like, yeah, you're a cool person. I'm not gonna go into too much detail here, of course. Yeah, you can kind of imagine what I'm talking about, right? Not of course to draw one big circle around people, like, again, like, as like most of it is like harmless, but it's just like my only complaint is that it kind of changes. Because like first there was Tumblr. Like I think a lot of artists went away from Tumblr, or Tumblr became this weird. You don't have any like a lot of good artists anymore. Been enjoying watching these streams. Hey Wall, and I'm a big fan of your tutorials. Thanks for sharing. No problem, man. Thanks for watching. But I kind of feel like there isn't a website. There's so much cool art out there, but you have to filter through so much garbage. And I feel like on ArtStation, it's also like they don't categorize, or they don't you can't browse to art, so you can't like pick one art piece and then have like similar art pieces in that regard, like except if it's the same artist, of course. And ArtStation has like a lot of people uploading, and only the best of the best you kind of see, which is kind of a shame. And Pinterest is like kind of good now, but I start to see the same thing that happened on DeviantArt, where like it kind of gets taken over by people like okay, I'm gonna say it's this, and this might like this gonna sound weird, but like I have nothing against. There's no bad art. Everything is art in my regard, but I feel like if I'm looking for stuff that could inspire me, or that I want to check out, then I don't want to see some badly drawn depiction of Waluigi and the Mandalorian going on a romantic cruise together, just to name something. It's kind of also like, man, fan communities always have two stages of liking a fan community of anything that gets popular, and it's like when it's the most famous, like when something is the most like populated. And I think like if it's before that, like the early adopters and all that, because once a fandom kind of dies down, the people that stick the longest, and I saw this with Undertale. Like I really loved Undertale, and I think in the beginning when it boomed and like people on YouTube started playing it, the community around it was also very great. Like Toby Fox also like interacting with a lot of people, and I've talked about this before, I think, but it's like it was really cool to be part of that community, and that like see all of that happen, and like that much art done, like, because this was a pixel game. It was a very simple pixel game. People made so much beautiful art and so much cool art, but then as the main thing kind of died down, like every YouTuber finished playing it except for the Game Grumps because they were behind on it. But because I definitely kind of go up in like fandoms, and like I like fan art to some degree what am I saying? Like people writing fanfic. Like I don't like romantic literature anyway, but like if it's something like in the world of Undertale, like I read a couple that were pretty interesting, some other characters, and that's cool. That's very cool. But the people who stick behind to those fandoms and kind of keep on drawing, they start to make these. I mean, Undertale is a very grown-up game, right? In some regards, it kind of depicts itself as a kids game, but it's like it has it definitely has some like target audience. Like it has for instance, like a gay couple, which is for back in the day it was pretty. I mean, there were two dogs as well, but I mean, they were talking dogs, so that makes it kind of it humanizes it again. But yeah, the thing I kind of wanted to touch upon was like like 2 years after that, there's still a thriving community, but they make it so weird, so borderline, and like it looks innocent on the surface, but then it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's you have these like this Sans character, right, who's super edgy, but they kind of Toby Fox kind of made him a good balance between being edgy but also being like he's a force to be reckoned with, but at the same time kind of self-aware of that. Phil made new characters who were kind of the son of Sans and like the nephew or the edgy cousin, you know, and like they did some weird shit with that. They did some really weird, really weird stuff, and it's kind of a shame because nowadays, if I look back at it, and I kind of want to do something with Undertale again because you know it's still like in pop culture, and kind of comes back sometimes if Toby Fox releases something new, like a new game, for instance. Then you have to go through that flood of years of like people just keeping on making, and it's not good art as well. Like it's mostly like crappily drawn. Like that's also the thing. Like crappily drawn, like these animated porn stuff. Like I don't get it. Why would you like? You can also see this on Level Up, the Facebook community, which is a really good community. But then you see people who clearly have not enough. You can draw whatever you want, of course, but why would you try and start to focus on drawing? Like, there was this one artist where I kind of wanted to react to it, but then I always try to keep myself. But he drew Batgirl in kind of a, let's say, not so innocent pose and not wearing any clothes, but it was a really bad drawing. And then he asked for feedback, and I want to make this better. And it's so obvious, like, that at that point you're drawing your own porn, basically. Or like, I touched upon this, like, projecting your fantasy in your art. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, but you should, like, not start with that. But then that level of art, you kind of swarmed deviant art. That deviant art has become nothing, but like there are good artists still on there. I sometimes like find things on Pinterest and I'll follow a link on DeviantArt and I'll find a good artist and then I'll check out if they have an ArtStation link or something. And like I'm inclined sometimes to tell them like go to ArtStation or go to a more serious art website because I don't know everything, of course. There might be like small communities on DeviantArt who still make cool art and ignore the rest, or maybe I haven't been on DeviantArt long enough to kind of get the settings right, perhaps. But I feel like I don't know, it's kind of weird. I forgot to apply scale before I typed in 0.002, so this is gonna take a while. Cool. It's sad to see a good art piece in DeviantArt in between 20 foot fetish fan arts posts. Yeah, basically. it's weird, like, and to be honest, I think there's too much censorship with the big websites, because now I might like argue against it, but I don't want like websites to be censored or anything, right? I think that the thing that is missing is that there's not like an art community, except for ArtStation maybe, but an art community that accepts sexualized content but knows how to filter that, because the problem is those also, you know, if you have cheaply drawn boobs, that still gets like millions more of clicks than a nicely drawn tree, you know. It's just how the world works and there's nothing you can do against it. But ArtStation still has like, you can search for tree, or you can search for rock, or you can search for, but I never use ArtStation to look for a reference, because you can't really kind of filter. You can choose between traditional 2D and 3D and between digital 2D and 3D, and that's it. Then like the subject, like characters and stuff, but most artists don't even bother like filling that in. Like ArtStation is their portfolio website, it's used for clients and all that stuff. Okay, then I go to like, and DeviantArt is like art sharing. It's more about sharing art, finding art. I don't know. I'm not saying like I could run a website that does it better, but but I could. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so the stream should go a lot faster now. Yeah, there we go. It should be a little bit smoother. So radial Z on 8. Let's go in here. Let's grab the flatten brush. Flatten this out. There we go. Kind of smooth it out. Oh, there we go. Cool. Now, it seems like I'm missing a website somewhere. It seems like I'm missing a website that's more about sharing. Because you know what I really like on arts during the ArtStation challenge, you have first the 2D challenges and then the 3D challenges, and they say we would prefer that you pick one of the 2D designs and make it into 3D. And I really like that because at that moment, if you take the assignment, you can scroll through concept art that you could use. And as a 3D artist, like 9 out of 10 times you want to use reference. Like even I'm not at the moment following specific reference, but I'm following like a couple of references for style and anatomy. So yeah, but it's, I don't know. Oh, I don't know why I have the, yeah, that might have been a bad idea to turn my symmetry on. Just now I have this weird edge here. I'm gonna flatten this out. That's like, I have a feeling that he's the wrong kind of satisfied. Hey SD, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I just feel like, I mean, it's like, you know, people should acknowledge what they're making for who they're making it, and it should be categorized under that. If you're making like fetishes, cartoon fetishes, or like other weird stuff, like for instance foot fetish. If you make foot fetish art, categorize it under foot fetish, and then you make it for everybody easier. If there's people who are just looking for art who don't want to see that, they can just leave it off, and people who are looking specifically for foot fetish, they can turn it on. I think I kind of miss, because for a while that was Tumblr. To be fair, I think Tumblr for a long time was kind of a very open and free platform where you had, because of the reblogging feature, you could just follow the blogs that very specifically catered to your needs. Like I followed a lot of references, poses, and all that stuff, art stuff, but also like memes, right? But good memes. Like I I don't need like 10 memes an hour that are mediocre. I don't do mediocre memes. I only want the good quality thirsty memes. But no, but it's like, and I could follow people who kind of like were like-minded, but then they sifted through all of the memes for me and then reblocked it, and I kind of had the content that I wanted. And I think that's, to some degree, that's still on Tumblr, but I think a lot of people took the backlash of like the female exposing nipples drama too hard, because like if you're still looking for reference, like nude models and all that, you can still find it on Tumblr, and they don't make an effort to delete that. And I mean, to be fair, I think the whole thing was a bit, you know, approached wrong. And then there were so many people who tried to make an alternative for Tumblr, and now there is just too many of them, and I don't want to sift through 10 websites every morning. He looks a bit too satisfied. I'm a freelancer, yeah. Partly, yeah. I wonder if Reddit is a good way to share art. Yeah, yes. That is not like, that's a yes. Reddit is pretty good. And I think it's getting even better. I still miss, like for digital art, you can't find a lot on Reddit, or not a lot of people are active on Reddit. But for traditional art, it's amazing. Especially like r/sculpting, sculptors. it's traditional sculpting, but I've seen so many great pieces, like inspirational, and also techniques. I looked at some videos actually of traditional sculpting, and it's not really applicable to digital sculpting as much, like in technique and stuff. Like, of course, like if you're making a human and you want the anatomy to be correct, and yeah, same rules, right? But it's like such a different approach to kind of want to make him more relaxed, so I'm gonna put his shoulders a bit more down. He does look a little bit too relaxed, yeah. I get what you mean. I'm gonna cut away the shoulders. Still want to do a little bit of hair. I can leave the back here. Doesn't really matter. I really want to sell this now. What we can do is apply the mirror, go to edit modes, separate values parts, select the right eye, set origin into the center of mass, and then we can kind of like and that's a satisfied face. Because the thing is, with the whole Tumblr thing, because Reddit is still like, Reddit doesn't give a fuck about, give a frick about plus 18 content, right? So they don't have any desire to keep things family friendly. It's just like they will warn you if you enter something that could be considered like not okay for kids, right? But I'm like, man, we should just ban the internet for kids. It's not good in any regard for any child. What are they even doing? Like, for instance, the whole YouTube fiasco with like content for kids, where they first banned everything that could like no, first you had to be so content friendly because or like family friendly because there were kids on YouTube, and people were like, but nobody under 13 is allowed normally. Like, if you log in, you need to be at least 13, but that's of course like to make an account, and you can't like prohibit somebody from visiting the website. But yeah, then again it becomes like, oh, but it's just family friendly and for advertisers, and I get that. That's like, it kind of makes sense in to some degree, actually. But then they did the opposite, where if you were making content for kids, but I guess that was also kind of a good thing. They kind of rectified some stuff with that, in my opinion. But it's like, now you have to say, do you make content for kids or not? Like, and if you make content for kids, you're not as eligible to advertisers and all that. Even I get the warning after every video, and although I like put the good settings on my YouTube, like, is this made for kids? Because if it's made for kids, are you sure you're not advertising to kids? And I'm like, I'm not super worried about it because I'm not that big YouTuber. Sculpting looks more appealing as well in video formats. Don't know if you saw that one Zelda sculpt that went viral on YouTube. Yeah, I saw it. That was amazing. That is because like at first glance, when I saw the thumbnail, it looks like a 3D sculpt, but then like it kind of has this tool with it. But I think it was because he uses red clay and it kind of looks like the madcap from ZBrush. But like, I am actually considering doing some traditional sculpting, but I don't really have a workbench available at the moment, so I can't really like do this in some. Yeah, I don't really have a place to do it at the moment, so. But I might do that later when I'm older. This channel has grown, you know. When I'm wiser and I'm older. But cause, man, I'm not too fussed by like sexy art. Like, people do what they want, and it can be appealing, you know. Like, it's kind of weird that like if you make violent stuff, and this is like the American thing especially, right? I think in Europe we're a bit more free, like in our local consummation of media. This isn't that big of a deal because it's Europe. We're a lot more open about that stuff, like sex and all that, nudity, and like if you go to the film festival in Cannes and you watch like the European movies, they're all filled with like peepees and boobies and so like yeah, it's definitely a big difference with the US, although I think like times are changing, where this like becomes more accepted everywhere. Like if I see series like sex education popping up and all that, although I think that's still kind of pretty censored, I guess. Well, they have to. I don't think that's okay to not censor that, but yeah, it's just like I think that should be like permitted. Like there's nothing wrong, it's part of life. But I think just like we should just ban kids from the internet and everything is okay. It fixes all the internet's issues. Because I think a lot of people took like the sentence I did not finish. I think a lot of people took such concern with like the policy of Tumblr that like for blogs that were, you know, sometimes made art. Like I remember this thing of there is, because somebody asked if there are more months, and the answer is yes. There is Mermay, and that's a challenge where in May you draw mermaids, or you make mermaids in 3D or whatever. And there's a lot of very good artists who made mermaids, but without the shells on the boobies, because that's like kind of a Disney gimmick, they thought. So they made them with nipples, and then it suddenly was like, oh, but this is not safe for work content. I'm like, oh, come on, really? I think it would be interesting to you know, there's this Little Mermaids remake coming out. Like, what would be the real harm in not covering up her boobs? What would be the real harm? Right? I don't think that would harm anybody. Like, kids would look at it and like, yeah, those are boobies. And there might be some 13-year-old kids in the middle of their puberty, like boys especially. They're like, oh, boobs. But like, you just have to, because you censor it so much, it becomes this the sexual thing, right? And it's kind of weird psychology. Like, if you would just desensitize that stuff, which is also not completely a good thing. I've seen some arguments for censorship that makes sense, of course. There's this whole, like, yeah, you don't want to, because the whole reason you make sex a taboo for teenagers is so that they kind of fear it. And you shouldn't fear it, and there's a lot of good arguments why you shouldn't impose that philosophy. But it's also to make sure that teens don't do anything stupid in their free time, because they're still puberting teens and they have these urges. And I think like it should be talked about openly, but it shouldn't also be, perhaps, I don't know, I'm not a psychologist. The frick do I know? Don't listen to me. But I think it should be like, I don't know, a little bit less extreme, you know, a little bit less like the devil is behind it or something. I don't know, because this just goes back to the art thing, where I don't think it's a good idea to try to censor the internet, because like you will always find another platform, and then you're destroying businesses, and then you're just 10 other businesses will take its place, and then you'll have to screen 10 other businesses, and it's like, because like this weird thing, like, for instance, PewDiePie, the biggest YouTuber, I'm predicting, and this is my prediction, nobody else's, but I'm thinking he will not stay on YouTube, even maybe for this year. I think he might like choose, like, once he found a good partner, to actually move platforms. And I think the biggest reason for this is to not make an exclusive deal, but kind of to make a power statement of some kind, that like you can go to other platforms, Because like it doesn't seem like a big deal. Like, but yeah, like how, like for instance, like if I had more viewers, should I be careful about making female poses? Like, how far can I go into detail before I have to add clothes? No, of course I don't want like pornographic material on YouTube. That would be kind of a weird place for it. But at the same time, it's like it's hard to draw a line in there, I guess, especially for YouTube. It's just a globalized thing, because America is not even the worst in censorship and in like the whole. Add an extra line here, and the whole shebackle of like, especially like the whole Star Wars, which I found a little bit hypocrite. Like the last Star Wars movie is not really a spoiler, but they were like, oh, the first gay character who had who had a on-screen kiss, and I was like, what? No, not by a long shot. There's been plenty of cinema films with gay characters. I was like, oh, but first in Star Wars. Oh, okay. But then it's like, yeah, but they made them like this small in the background somewhere, and it's like over in a second. You don't really see it, and you know they cut it away in countries that prohibit it. So it's, you're not doing, like, you're showing it in countries that are already pretty okay with gay marriage and all that stuff, but you're censoring in countries where this is still an issue for gay people. Like, they can't come out openly or they will get prosecuted. But you still release that movie in those countries, but censored. And I'm like, what's the point? I mean, have gay characters as much as you want, I don't really care. But but you're not fighting for LGBT rights if you're just, censoring it in countries where they still ban LGBT rights. It's just kind of weird. Oh, but don't get me started on Star Wars and the whole... I don't know. I don't want to get too political on this show. It's kind of weird. Like, I think the biggest issue I have with the whole of Hollywood is just like, one, don't listen to fans. Never listen to fans. Leave people and their creative choices, like artists and their creative choices, alone until something comes out. I think Jim Carrey said this as well, because of the Sonic movie. How often do you make streams? At the moment, every day. But that will change for after January, of course. Thing is, parents need to enforce that on their children, but nowadays most kids have tablets or phone with unrestricted access. That is true, yeah. Seems like different regions in the world have different stands on this topic. I hear Twitch artists have a hard time knowing when their art can get banned for nudity. Yeah, that's an issue, because in the end it's art. But then again, where do you draw the line? Because I know there's artists out there who draw like sexy stuff, and it's like, yeah, where do you draw the line? You don't really know. You can't really, because like the Twitch guidelines on clothing are hilarious. You have to wear very specific clothing because you can't show too much cleavage, but you can show a little bit of cleavage. And they even like states in some, I don't know if it was Twitch, but some other streaming website stated some amount of centimeters of cleavage that you can show. And I was like, what? But you have to kind of make those rules so specific, because otherwise people are like, yeah, but it's unfair because you banned that person, well, you banned me and not that person, although that person like showed their entire ass on the stream. It's like, yeah. But I think, yeah. But to come back to what I said earlier about the like Hollywood listening too much to fans is also like kind of, I wasn't really aware of it, and then I first was happy with it, but then I wasn't happy anymore. I think the whole reason why Star Wars failed the new trilogy is because they listened too much to the fans. I think that's the only reason. I think J.J. Abrams and the other guy are more than competent directors who did make great movies. One of my favorite movies is from J.J. Abrams, Super 8. I love that movie. And it's like he would be capable. And I think like the episode 7 isn't like all that bad, but I think he, as well as Disney, as everybody, was like, okay, we have to listen to the fans this time because they didn't like the prequels. And I think throughout the years, the fans have given too much flack to the prequels. And I think this, because like when the movies came out, they were like, fine, they were good. But it's always the vocal minority, especially now with the internet, where the loudest voices seem like the major opinion, but that is not the case. Like 1% of people will yell, that's not good, and it will seem like, oh, the majority of people don't think that's good. But that's just a minor it's a vocal minority, that's what it's called. And I think this happened with Star Wars, where they were like, okay, we really have to listen to the fans. I think like maybe it was J.J. Abrams' like idea as well. Like it might have been a wrong judgment call. But this realization, it's not like an epiphany. I think a lot of people, especially film critics, kind of noticed this. Also, Jim Carrey talked about this with the Sonic movie, where they changed the character design after like fan outlash. He was still skeptic that that was a good decision. Of course, yeah, Jim Carrey's a little bit of a contrarian, but he is kind of right. Like, I think for the instance of Sonic, this was a good decision. But still, like, it's kind of weird that they did that. But with Star Wars, it was like the prequels were so different from the original movies, like in tone and storytelling, but we were living in different times. And I think, and this is a contrary opinion, I think the prequels were ahead of its time. Because if you look at them now, they actually kind of touch upon, I think they could redo the prequels and kind of enforce this political idea where the fear of the people and fear of conflict results in the creation of the empire. Because that's actually what happens. And that's actually kind of what happens in the world too. We kind of, like in a different way, because of course there's another form of community and all that. But we are starting to sacrifice more and more privacy for the sake of security. And this happens everywhere, like Belgium, America, whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's a concern I have, because it's like you don't want to do that. But I think like the prequels could really touch upon that in some sense, where they the prequels where it's like you kind of understand why all these systems want the Empire to exist. Also in The Mandalorian, there's this line, because The Mandalorian plays after the destruction of the Empire, so after Episode 6, but one of the old generals from the Empire says that every system they touched was like had good trade, had stability, had order. And he wasn't wrong. And I think that's more interesting than what they did with the new movies, where it's like good versus evil, and evil is like really evil and good is like really good, and there's no ambiguity or like something that you might be doubting somebody's motives. And I think that makes those films a lot less interesting. But it's like, yeah, still entertaining films, of course, but I kind of like, I enjoyed myself during those movies. But it's like, yeah, and I think they listened too much to the fans, in the sense that they were like, okay, so we have to be more like the originals. We have to be down to earth and kind of like we have to listen to the fans. But I think at the same time Disney kind of went on and was like too much. They're thinking about merchandising. They're thinking about bringing back old characters. They want to go full on that nostalgia trip, right? So I think that's also kind of a bad decision, because it's a little bit like, yeah, I guess they kind of enforced like J.J. Abrams to, oh yeah, you have to have all these old characters and none of them can die, and or like, at least, yeah, except for that one guy who was too expensive. I'm not gonna spoil it. I mean, spoiling The Force Awakens seems a bit weird now. If you haven't seen it yet, I mean, the movie came out 3 years ago, come on. Yeah, I'm just being careful because I know there's people out there that are still like, yeah, don't spoil that movie for me. I know it's been out for 5 years, but I still haven't gotten around to watching it. But yeah, and it's like, and I think Ryan Johnson then listened too much to the fans to complaints of episode 7. And then J.J. Abrams again listened too much to the fans of the complaints about episode 8. Maybe they even like just focused too much on the negative. I think maybe they should have focused on what people did like about the previous movies. It was kind of a shame that they kind of left Rose behind as a character. And a lot of people were like, yeah, but she was so disinteresting and was not an interesting character. And I was like, she was a pretty interesting character. She was just like written a bit badly in a bad movie. But like, I think there could have been scenes to kind of improve that character. But in essence, like, I don't care that she's a woman or an Asian woman. I think the whole, oh, but they're pandering too much to PC culture is like, whatever, man. Like, this is Star Wars. Like, Star Trek had in the 70s a crew where they had a white male, an Asian male, a Russian male, a black female, a white female. They had like this entire cast of different races because they wanted to really hit home the point. Oh yeah, the Federation is the whole world. So the whole world united in exploring the galaxy. So you have the best of the best throughout the world. These are not just white American people. And that was really well. And I think Star Wars as well, like, you have like these million alien races and there's like one Asian in there and it's like, oh, they're pandering to, no, whatever, who cares? Who cares what race they have? And I think it could have been an interesting character. It was just written badly, and it's not the fault of the actress. I think she's a competent actress, and I think this, like, she had some cool scenes and she had some cool points to make, and I think it's just a shame that she was it's kind of a shame that J.J. Abrams listened to the worst of the worst on the internet. Because, like, it doesn't even matter if you agree or not, if Rose was a good character. But I think it's kind of bad that you listen to the worst, bigoted, racist assholes. Sorry, I'm not going to be lump about this. On the internet, who were harassing the actress, that she left social media. It's terrible. You never do that. I don't care how bad somebody's performance even is, or how bad their writing is, or how much they... Like, even you don't even do that with like people who have opinions. You don't do that. And then the fact that they threw her away in the last movie kind of seemed like they were listening to the worst part of the internet. And that's a little bit like, why would you do that? Why would you be so weak as to do that? Why couldn't you listen to all the fans who did like Rose and then kind of give her a... Because they kind of replaced her character. They gave Finn another character to interact with, like a female character. Also, why aren't Finn and Poe a thing? Who took away my Finn Poe? But yeah, it's kind of like... it's weird. Like, I don't think Hollywood should listen to their fans. I think you should kind of respect the fans. You should respect what if you have a franchise, you should respect it. But for instance, I think the good thing about Marvel's franchise is you can really differentiate the movies that where the director or the writer was like, oh, fans really want to see this because I see this all the time on Twitter. Or somebody was like, you know what? Let's make a story that is topical and like is really good. And like maybe tells a story. There's nothing wrong with having a feminist narrative in a superhero story, for instance, but then in a movie like Captain Marvel, you feel that it's a little bit too pandering, a little bit too... It shouldn't take you out of the movie, because the weird thing is you have these two awesome pilots, two awesome female pilots, who then get like kind of they're awesome, right? And I think it would have been more interesting if, for instance, Jude Law's character was like, yeah, you're strong, but, you know, you're biological, because you're a feminine, you're weaker, and that's just how it is, whatever. I think like a lot more fans would have disliked that, but that would have had made more of a point that fitted with the story. But you can't just throw in a scene that's kind of like, oh, and she's a strong female, if it doesn't make sense with the narrative, right? Because, you know, if you have a strong female character, it doesn't mean she comes up for females. If you just make her super strong, it's still like, yeah, but what if she supports Republicans? Well, I'm not saying Republicans. What if she supports the conservative idea of that women should stay in the kitchen? And of course she doesn't, but it's kind of like, yeah, it should fit the narrative. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think there's a lot of subjects in the world you can touch upon and can be like, tell very interesting stories. But you shouldn't like try to, a writer shouldn't go to Twitter for inspiration. That's just all I take away from that. Honestly, by the time I got into movie Star Wars, it had already come out years ago. It looked too old school for me to enjoy. So I pretty much barely know anything about Star Wars movies. They're pretty good actually. Like just watch episode 4, 5, and 6. Like A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. I must say, like they're not by far not like artistic masterpieces, but as far as classics go, these are more enjoyable movies from the 70s. Because like other movies, like they're also really good, because I'm gonna try not to throw Godfather under the bridge because my girlfriend will kill me. But like Godfather, Scarface, and all those movies are also really good art pieces. But I feel like that a modern audience doesn't have the patience for those kind of movies anymore. Or like The Shining was like a classic, but it's still like, it's a very slow movie. While Star Wars kind of really defined the adventure genre, I feel like, more than the sci-fi genre, where they go on an adventure and it kind of goes. The story goes, but also takes time for things to happen. And I think like Star Wars, The Mummy, and Indiana Jones are the 3 like best adventure movies, like the Tomb of the Lost Ark. If you are into adventure movies, if you're not into adventure movies, sure. Anyway, I don't really have the time to really stick to one side or the other for political discussions. And for me, it's just all about the art, right? Don't compromise your art because, or, you know, make a piece of art with a statement. Don't put a statement in your piece of art. If that makes sense, you know. Okay, so we kind of want to add eyebrows, but I have no idea where to add the eyebrows. Because I could make them just this big, right? I don't feel like doing that. Kind of feel like here they make kind of sense. Yep. Kind of turn this around. So boy, making this symmetrical now will kind of be not that hard apparently. Just pinch them together. Although this right one doesn't really make much sense. I think this still should be higher and it should be pushed a little bit back. Yeah. It's like whatever. If your biggest complaint about a movie is gonna be that like it's too PC, I don't think you should be alleged to be a film critic. You shouldn't aspire to be a film critic. I think it's like, because I don't think like anybody had a real problem with Rey being a female. I think in the beginning there was definitely like some people who were like, oh, the main character is a woman and a black man. I was like, yeah. I think a lot of people didn't care. A lot of people were like, yeah, so what? I could still like enjoy this, find myself in the characters. Also, I think the sad part is about Rose's character is that that actress actually was the only one who really bothered to reply to the Twitter thing. I think if you're a target of hate on Twitter or anything, or like bigoted racists and stuff, just don't give them the attention. I think that's the... but of course, if you get swarmed with it, it's kind of like... Yeah. It's sad what happened. I don't really think it's sad, but, you know... I kind of made it too blobby. Captain Marvel seemed pretty pandering. Yeah, it might have been better to have her still be pretty strong, but also give her the sense that she can outsmart her enemies. Yeah, because that's the weird thing about the Captain Marvel movie. It kind of hones in this point that her weakness in the beginning of the movie is that she doesn't have control. She doesn't keep control over her emotions and stuff. And she is defeated in like these duels by Jude Law's character because he does keep control, right? He is like and he's like, yeah, you still don't like take control of your emotions, so that's why you lose. And at the end of the movie, he's pretty angry. He should be pretty angry because his whole plan fell into water, right? And it would have been interesting to see some kind of switching around of her actually, starting off losing control, but him still in control, so she kind of starts losing. But then that she kind of lets go of those emotions and kind of does what is right. But instead of that, they still kind of have her be like super overpowered, like blast him away, like this, like she's strong now because she was held back by a male. No, I don't know. But it's like it would have been more satisfying to see her first struggling to defeat him, but then actually have this fight be a little bit more balanced and have some sense of kind of weird how this eyebrows like I can put a bit more definition in those. There we go. I think that would have been more interesting, in my opinion. I don't have a problem with, because like there's people who say that, oh yeah, but her power level is also too high, but I don't really agree with that. Thor's power level is also pretty high, but he still has like this weakness. His pride and his arrogance kind of weakens him. But I think Captain Marvel because I mean I could make these arguments without ever mentioning the genders. I don't think that's a problem. I think the issue with it is that like Thor has infinite strength, but he indeed has still a weakness. His pride, his arrogance, right? And that even like, and that's an arc that takes movies to fulfill, because it's only by Endgame that he really like steps off of this pride. Because the reason like that that Thanos even won in Infinity War was because he didn't go for the head. He wanted Thanos to feel the pain and kind of suffer for a moment before Thor would kill him, and that would have been like that kind of set in motion everything that happened. And that's really like, if you think about it, it's like holy crap, like whoa. But yeah, it's and I think that would have like helped define a character a little bit, because no, she's just like she's a badass and doesn't control her emotions, and she wins all the time. It's like, okay. I do think like what Brie Larson is doing with the character, like, I liked it more in Endgame than I liked it in Captain Marvel. The whole "Hey Peter Parker," I did enjoy that. So I don't dislike the character that much, I think, as other people do. But yeah, I think if there's a second Captain Marvel movie coming out, then they should perhaps give her a little bit more of a personal struggle to overcome, and not just like, because she didn't do anything in her movie, right? She just kicked ass for other people. I think this one's pretty much done. It's 4 o'clock, so let's start lighting him. Yeah, I think for a good character, you give him a strength and you give him a weakness, and then they have to overcome that weakness to improve their strength, right? But then Captain Marvel lacks this, because I think I'm really curious about the reception of the Black Widow movie. I don't think anybody is not looking for. I have not heard or seen anything on Twitter for people like, oh, another female superhero or pandering or something. Although, like in the trailer, you see that 3 of the 4 of the team are females. I think like there's still people having issue with this, and of course sexism is still a thing and whatever. But not whatever, but I'm not going into politics. But the thing is, like, I think people just already got used to her a little bit more as a character. And come on, put him like this, yeah. Okay, start lighting him. Oh yeah, want to first give him the materials here. So let's give him the clay. And for the eyes, I want to give him the lighter clay, I think. Or maybe also just the clay for this one. Yeah, so it feels more like a sculpture. Okay, let's give him a little bit more appropriate lighting. I'm gonna select all our lights here, start leading them. Poof. We only have 1 light left. I'm gonna start off with this light. Make this very soft. Now, where's my let's see here. Oh, how do we light you? Oh, I also want to put my focus on the character because it's a little bit blurred out. There we go. But yeah, these are all discussions, like, and this is again like listening too much to a vocal minority of the fans. I think that's the whole point just to it. I'm not trying to make any statement if whether or not, like, it's not to me to say if some groups of the population should be represented in movies or not. I think it's nice that they do. And even like pandering is not inherently a bad thing. I think the only thing they should be, it shouldn't take you out of the movie. I think what my main issue is that it takes you, sometimes takes you out of the movie. I think sometimes it's a little bit much on the side of, if you have a line, a throwaway line, as they call it, that just tries to prove a point to the audience. This is a very good thing I saw. I kind of want to say which YouTube channel, but I kind of forgot. But there is this line in Star Trek Into Darkness where Benedict Cumberbatch's character, so Chris Pine's character, Kirk, asks Benedict Cumberbatch, what is your name? And he really, like, the camera zooms in and really dramatically he says Khan. And that's like, for the audience, that's a shock because, if you're a fan, you've seen the original Khan, the Wrath of Khan movie, then you know who Khan is. And then, but the characters at that moment don't know who Khan is. They don't know him. So that whole reveal thing, and that's also J.J. Abrams' movie, so that kind of rolls back to Star Wars then, is made not for the story, but for the fans. And I think they should stop doing that. It's as easy as that. Like, I think you should stop making scenes or shots or throwaway lines for fans or for the people, and more for what's going on in the world. There's a very great moment in Captain America, and it comes from the same video, and I'm thinking about it. In the original Captain America, the female character, Shannon, I don't know, like Captain America's girlfriend, she comes to the soldiers, inspects them, and one soldier really makes a sexist joke. She punches him straight in the face. I don't think anybody had a problem with that. It didn't feel pandering, but it was a strong, like, feminist move, and it showed something about the problems. Like, they could have gone further a little bit. maybe, perhaps, who knows. But it's like, yeah, and that's good because that fits in the story. You're not telling the audience something. Something just happened in the movie, and that had a consequence. That tells something about the character's motives, the character's opinions, and where everybody stands on that situation. Which she doesn't take shit from misogynist pigs. And that's cool. That's a cool character trait to have. But that's for the characters in the movie. And as an audience member, you can take something away from that. And that's cool. That's the intention. But I think you shouldn't create such a moment that doesn't have any sense in the movie and is just simply there for the audience members. And I think that's the problem a little bit. Honestly, as long as the movie creators don't let themselves get too influenced by random critics, yeah, the movie will be just fine. Yeah, definitely. That's true. I think like the internet has become a weird place where everybody's a critic, and I don't think like directors, movie creators, they should listen to it. It's just like, just do your thing, man. I hope the new Star Wars trilogy gets like that treatment where Disney's like, okay, you get free load, you get like, just make sure we can merchandise some stuff, put in like cute little creatures that we can sell $1 million of. That's fine. That's part of the business. But that they just say, make something new, and that the creators are really like, okay, let's just ignore the internet. Let's ignore what everybody wants, because everybody really wants the Old Republic storyline now in Star Wars. But I think that's not a good idea, because that is too much. It's too edgy. You can't really make that fun. And like, not the Old Republic, but Knights of the Old Republic old, right? And that's really like, it has a really cool lore and stuff, but it really comes back to that problem of, just make something new. Make something that's original, that fits in a movie, plan it out, and that'll be fine. That's what I would do. I would make the perfect Star Wars movies. Don't want to brag. Here we go. Render. End of that tirade. I kept him bald. I kind of like him bald. He's a cute little man. He's being all kinds of weird, wrong kinds of sexual satisfied. Do I like the lighting as it is? I think so, yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna keep it that way. You like it? He's satisfied. I'm gonna do the thing. And I have some good news, by the way. I want to thank all my Patreons, and I especially want to thank my 2 Sir Knights, because we have a new Sir Knight. I want to put a shout out to Doki Vanderkillen, who is actually my own brother, so thanks for supporting me, man. And also shout out to Taylor Brown, our 2nd Sir Knight. So our Legion is becoming a little bit bigger, which is awesome. There's definitely, coming from the comments, also some interest in the Discord channel I was talking about. Just imagine you were forced by your fan base to include a certain demographic in your character sculpt. But yeah, it's like that, It's just like, I don't think fans can force that. I don't think like the vocal minor, they don't have the power over sales and over creative accomplishment. Think if somebody could come with an idea, hey, you could make like there's this cool concept art, and if it's like another race or another gender or another whatever, I don't care. It's as long as it's cool, right? As long as it's beautiful to look at, and anything can be beautiful to look at. Whatever. Here's my white male. I hope everybody enjoyed the stream. I want to thank everybody. Do join the Patreon if you want to support this channel. If you want to see more videos like this, go to patreon.com/bandite. SculptJanuary is almost over. I will be taking a short couple of days break and kind of figure out what to do with the channel. But exciting things are coming. Also, follow me at @Gentingent on Twitter or Instagram if you want to see the finished artworks. yeah, and that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the stream. And yeah, I think I'll see you tomorrow. I know I'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. You want to say bye?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.